Hey guys, it's Finn here, and welcome to the illusion of thinking. Um, so, I've been thinking a lot, as I'm sure you have as well. I mean, the thing that really makes us uniquely human is the fact that we think, right? It's also what's enabled us to be incredibly powerful. The cognitive revolution happened about 70,000 years ago. As I mean, this is what's kind of common knowledge, I guess, in history. Who knows how far back it actually goes, but supposedly around 70,000 years ago was the beginning of history. It was the beginning when we started achieving cognition and thinking, and very quickly, us humans were able to communicate at a geopolitical scale, um, and essentially take over the world. Um, and I think that in the modern era, we have kind of forgotten about really how powerful our thoughts can be and how powerful our thoughts actually are. And also how our thoughts are essentially an illusion that we kind of create in our minds. So the illusion really goes something like this. From the moment that we're born, we exist and we are exposed to the world around us, and this world is giving us information, and this world is giving us ideas, and this information and these ideas that the world is feeding us ends up creating our paradigm. And the paradigm is really a combination of how you see the world, but also how you see yourself. And it's extremely powerful because this paradigm ends up essentially dictating, I guess, the illusion that is reality. So we give life meaning in two different ways. So really, there are two kind of realities coexisting. The first is the objective reality, so the things that are actually real, objectively, the things that exist, like my body is objective. This chair that I'm sitting on is objective. It's real. But the moment we start judging the objective reality is is the moment it becomes subjective. It's the moment it becomes an illusion, if you will. Like, for example, my body um, is real. It's an objective reality, but how I judge it, how I judge myself, how I judge my body, that's completely subjective. But the way that I end up seeing myself is actually what ends up becoming reality, even though it's a complete illusion. And this is the thought that I really want to express and communicate to you and to myself, to my future self, because I really don't ever want to forget this. But we are actively creating an illusion around us based on our subjective judgment on the objective reality that's around us. And this is really quite impactful because the moment you start consciously realizing that every single decision and thought that you've ever had has led you to this very point that you're in right now. And what's really cool as being human, what's really cool about the human experience is that we can actually consciously also change and direct our future as well. And you can go within the illusion to change and create a future that doesn't exist yet, which is really powerful. Um, I don't want to get too abstract here, but I want to give clarity to you on this that probably most of the things in life are actually subjective judgments. The way that you view the world and the way that you view yourself typically is completely subjective. And sometimes these subjective judgments are not serving you. So I encourage you, and I really encourage myself, I encourage all my friends and my family to look at their judgments about themselves and their judgments about the world and question whether or not these judgments actually are beneficial to helping them get to wherever it is that they want to go. Um, because a lot of the times, funnily enough, it's not, and this is where we kind of go down the rabbit hole of limiting beliefs and how we have certain beliefs about ourselves that limit us, and it's quite a shame because a lot of people until the very bitter end are quite unaware of the fact that these are limiting subjective beliefs. But the moment you become aware of your limiting subjective beliefs is the moment that you can actually choose a different belief. It's the moment you can choose to break free. So we become what we think about seems to be the most timeless and most repetitive kind of law that I keep seeing throughout history. I mean, Jesus literally wrote it in the Bible, and I'm not. My religious standpoints are quite complicated. I'm not necessarily Christian or not necessarily not Christian. I mean, I'm a truth seeker. Anyway, Jesus said that if you believeth, you shall see, or something along these lines. Don't quote me here, but he said something along the lines of how we become what we think about, right? And then fast forward a couple 100 years, there was Marcus Aurelius who said that a man's life is what his thoughts make of it. And then there's many other people throughout history who have kind of repeatedly come back to this crazy phenomenon that our thoughts really end up dictating reality and end up dictating this illusion that we find ourselves in. And you can create this illusion for yourself. You can really create anything that you want. Like, your mind has this infinite power, this infinite intelligence, and this infinite ability to create, and it's so insanely powerful, and I really just want each and every one of you to really realize that, to tap into that. And I think, you might be asking yourself, like, how do I do that? Like, it all sounds good, but, like, how do I do that? And it's a great question, I think, and a great point to start. And, I don't want to sit here in my chair and, pretend like I know how to do it, because the truth is I don't know exactly how. But I do know certain, I only know what I know, right? And I only want to synthesize what I know. And what I do know is that there's certain tools and elements that you can adopt in your day-to-day life that help you get to this point of omniscience, where you can see everything and you can create anything. And it comes from awareness. It comes from having real awareness of your thoughts and of the reality that you find yourself in. It comes from awareness of the illusion that you find yourself in. The illusion of reality, the illusion of thinking. And once you become aware of certain patterns, you can start to question them. And you can start to re-optimize them, and you can start to look for new thoughts, new beliefs, new identities that are constructive to building the illusion and reality that you want. And I'm on a pretty incredible mission myself, and I find it very important to speak and voice these realizations for my own sake, for my own sanity. I noticed that I'm having a lot of different discussions about this with very close friends, which is amazing. But I keep realizing that I need to, I can really bring more and more people into these conversations in the form of these videos, which is why I really want to create these videos. And today I had coffee with a really close friend of mine, and, she told me, like, Finn, you need to put these thoughts out there. And I can really see you do that. And I told her, you know what? You've inspired me. Let's do it. And I've made videos like this before, but I stopped. And, maybe it's time to start again. So, if you've made it, to the end of the video, I really appreciate the time that you've spent with me. And, let me know how these ideas have landed for you. And if you think, you benefit from this, and if you think these kind of like authentic, raw thoughts is something you might want to see more of. And with that being said, I wish you peace. I wish you clarity. And I really hope you find whatever it is that you're looking for. Yeah. Thank you.